Hello everyone, this is Imam. Today I'm gonna talk about how to play Windows games on Linux. I'm talking about those games which would require like a CD or DVD disc to install these games and then you don't need any online account. Basically I'm talking about single player offline games. Remember in the old days you used to have this CD and DVD to install the game on Windows, and then once you have installed them on your hard drive, then you can just play the game from the hard drive. Or you might require still the disk to start the game, but basically you can also run them from the hard drive. Suppose you have these games in a hard drive, or you are not using Windows anymore, but you have a large collection of these games, Windows games, somewhere in your hard drive. You can easily play them on Linux using a front end like a Lutris. So Lutris basically allows you to use different tools that are available on Linux to play Windows games. It's just a front end to allow you to do the things for you, set up the environment so that you can play. Basically you can play these games natively on Linux using Linux implementation of Windows APIs. So that's about it. Let's see how can we do that, play these games but I'm also gonna talk about things, for example, it's how can you approach about it. Let's say you already have these Windows games on your hard drive, right? If you already have them in your hard drive, let's say you have a hard drive where you have Windows games like this. There are plenty Windows games, and then it's pretty much possible now to bring this over these game folders or games, or just play the games on Linux. You don't have to copy the games, but if you'd like to copy over to Linux partition, you could do that, or you can just keep the game wherever they are now, in the Windows partition or in a separate portable hard drive. Doesn't matter. But what I have here in my setup, I have a collection. I have some Windows games here, but this partition is actually, I'm using Linux partition ext4. I have a ext4 Linux partition, so I kept Windows games, those of old games, in the Linux partition. I have found this pretty much not bad, and games works very well, and they load faster and everything like that, and pretty much trouble free. If you could do that, you can bring over your Windows games from the Windows partition to the Linux partition. So basically the setup I have here, I have a portable hard drive where I have created a Linux partition, ext4 partition, and then I put my those old Windows games there that doesn't require any online account or online platform like Steam. So we can easily run these games in Linux. So I'm gonna show that now using Lutris. So Lutris is a platform you can on your Linux system, I think is you can install Lutris application from your the way you install. Also I would say from in your Linux system you also have some other things install it, like a GameScope. You should install GameScope and game mode. There's another thing you should install. So these are the tools. Then you should also install Wine, and you should also install 32-bit libraries for your graphics drivers or libraries for your graphics drivers. Because basically these games, when we talk about the old games, these games are pretty much 32-bit games, so you need a 32-bit Linux graphics drivers to be able to play these games. Also you need few other things, maybe game scope, and it's good to have G overlay application, G overlay this application LAY, so that if you want to see the FPS and set up the FPS environment, it's good to have. And also you should have Mango Heart. So these two will provide the FPS display support inside your game if you wanna do check your FPS inside the game. So, and the game scope would allow you to run game in a different kind of resolution other than the resolution supported by your monitor and things like that. You could do certain things with game scope. So these tools you need to have to run basically Windows. So one is basically a Windows implementation, Linux version of like Windows implementation, Windows libraries implementation. So you need one. So basically if you install all these, then finally you can come and install Lutris. If you don't know how to install all these, you can also have Steam installed in your system, so that Steam will actually force you to install some of these like Wine or 32-bit libraries. So if you have Steam installed, that would also help. But we are not gonna use Steam to play these old games basically. So basically once you have that, but make sure you have Vulkan drivers also installed. Of course it will be installed by default, but sometimes yeah, so it depends on what graphics card do you have. If you have AMD graphics card and the AMD or Intel, you could simply have install Mesa 3D, but Mesa 3D is most of the time is installed by default, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you install Mesa 3D, it will have Vulkan drivers installed automatically, most likely. So Vulkan is gonna provide Vulkan is a graphics API which is gonna provide DirectX and Direct 3D support under Linux using so that's all you need, and a few other things you need, but I'm gonna show you that slowly. So basically these are the most things basic. This is the essential, these are the essential things you need first of all. And then you have Lutris installed, and then one thing you have to do, then you have to find out where your Vulkan drivers I'll show you what I mean. So you have to know the ICD files of the Vulkan drivers. So if we, so in my system, Vulkan driver ICD files are located in this folder. If you go to the root folder, root user share Vulkan. So if you can find these files in this location or any other location, these files, JSON ICD files, that means Vulkan is installed in your system. But sometimes like my system, I have two different versions of Vulkan drivers installed. One is official version that comes with Mesa 3D, which is the best driver you can have at the moment for Intel or AMD graphics. Or if you have NVIDIA graphics card, you are only left with one choice. So you can see here different options, different files, Radeon, NVIDIA Radeon. This file is pointing to the AMD graphics card Vulkan drivers. NVIDIA is pointing to NVIDIA graphics, and AMD is also pointing to AMD graphics card, but this is a different version. This is not the one comes with Mesa 3D. This is actually the proprietary version, graphics Vulkan version. So proprietary one is not the good one, so we want the one that comes with the Mesa 3D open source one, which is the Radeon ICD. So once you know the location and the files, before you launch Lutris, you have to set this environment variable. For some reasons, Lutris is good to do this, because when you have multiple drivers, like my system setup, for the same kind of graphics card, I have proprietary driver, Vulkan driver, and also Mesa 3D open source Vulkan driver, which is here, as can be seen, AMD and Radeon. So Lutris is gonna get confused, and you're not gonna be able to run your game smoothly through Lutris. So you have to specifically set an environment variable to tell Lutris or tell the games to use Mesa 3D version of the Vulkan driver. So that's what I'm doing here. Export. If you put this line and the location of the ICD files. So first ICD files are here. This one is pointing to the 32-bit version of the driver, and this file, and then you have this thing separator, and then this one is pointing to the 64-bit. Or one way you can just copy the location here, or you can paste it here. It's very easy. Yeah. So as you can see, so once you enter that, so that's it. Vulkan driver is now set. Which version of? Now we can launch Lutris from the command line. As you can see, I have a couple of games, older and newer games set up here in the Lutris, and Lutris has since Lutris is gonna use different tools for allowing Windows games to run using Linux implementation of Windows libraries. So there are many settings you can apply for your game. Like if you want to have FPS and display it, you could do that. So this is like a one place you can do everything. Here first, once you set a start Lutris, first thing you should be doing is going to the preferences, and in preferences, maybe in the sources, you can, so these are the things you can do in Lutris. Like you can run Ubisoft Connect applications through Lutris. If you want to add that plugin into Lutris, you can do that by enabling that. You could launch Origin, then you can enable that one. You can run Epic Games Store through Lutris, you can enable that, but I don't need any of this. Only I'm here interested in the local one. It's not needed for running Windows games, it's more of a Linux games if you want, but I keep that enabled. Every other thing, so because we are now talking about Windows games that you have in your hard drive collection. Anyway, so in the accounts you don't have to do nothing here. In the updates, you should definitely select the stable one, and then you can click on that one, so that Wine is updated using Lutris. So Lutris is gonna use a version of Wine which is located locally, not the system one. Even though you have system one installed, Lutris is not gonna use the system one by default. That's the benefit. You can go to your home folder and find the Lutris one. Home. And then if you go to the local folder, user your home folder .local and the share, here if you go to Lutris folder and the runners and the Wine, you'll find different versions of Wine you'll find here, but I have these additional versions of Wine installed inside the Lutris location, so that they are available for different games. So why do we need different versions of Wine? So Wine is the implementation of Windows libraries for Linux, right? So if you want to use Like Windows, sometimes you need Windows XP for certain games to work, Windows 10 for certain games. Similarly, Wine also, with one particular Wine version, you cannot run all games. So some games would require a different specific version of Wine. Maybe in the future, in the near future, we will have only one Wine would allow a vast majority of the games to work. At the moment, yeah, you could use technically one, but practically it's not possible because as the Wine is being developed, it breaks several old games as it moving forward. It also fixes things up like this, so you definitely need different versions of Wine installed here. Put it into this folder. I will show you how to do that. So basically there are different locations you could go to, like if we're talking about this particular, if you search that in Google, you can go to this GitHub page and then releases, and then you could download this particular version of Wine. You can check what I have. I have this particular version of Wine. So once you download it, like AMD 64-bit version of Wine, we should be able to also play 32-bit game, just like how Windows 64-bit version of Windows is able to play 32-bit games. So if you download this, and then you just have to extract it into this folder, should be ready to go. So I have got version 9, version 7 from this particular GitHub page. And also I've got other versions like this one, Lutris GE7, and then Glorious Egg Roll and Lutris 5. If you type Glorious Egg Roll Wine, you can find a different page like this one, and here if you go releases, you can also download this version like this from this, and also Lutris 5. From the Lutris itself, you can click in this folder, manage version, and install some versions from the Lutris itself. You don't have to go through a particular website and extract it in this folder. So that's what I did with the Lutris version 5, because some games would require that particular version. So I can install from this folder, but you can see all the here shown here. So that's it. That's how you install different Wine versions inside Lutris. If you put into this folder .local share Lutris. And other thing you have to do, if you're playing a little bit a newer game like a Steam game or something, you could go to you can go to DXVK. So DXVK, you just have to come back here in the Lutris and the runtime, go to runtime and then go to DXVK. At the moment I have these two versions installed. You can come to this website. DXVK is basically a direct 3D implementation on top of Vulkan until DirectX 11. So you can download different versions from here and then put it into this folder DXVK. Also you have to come to this folder VK3D Direct 3D. You can type in VK Direct 3D Proton. You can come to this website VK Proton and come here in the releases, and you can see here I have these two versions. One is version 3, version 2.13, and like this. You can come here in the asset and download and extract into this. So what VK Direct3D does is it's a Direct3D 12 implementation on top of Vulkan. So basically you have, so DXVK also able to do Direct3D 8 now with the version 2.4, I guess. So that's all you need. Once you put into these folders everything and run, and then you come back here, check for updates, you can automatically update Lutris runtime, download missing media. That's it. If you come back to the system, you can check everything is supported or not Vulkan. So Lutris is gonna tell you whether you have Vulkan driver support installed, a good Linux kernel which support these things, these functions, and Wine is installed. GameScope, like I said, GameScope is installed. Mango Heart for displaying FPS. Game mode is for setting the CPU like a profile, kind of performance profile. And then Steam installed, yes, and then OS and everything you can see. That's all you need. In the storage, you don't have to worry about this. In the global options, I think you can leave it at default here, don't need to change anything, and click save. So once you did that, and you can come back to here, configure, in here Wine. Now you can see that you can set up the default Wine setting for all the new games you add to the Lutris. You can see the Wine version is gonna use, so basically all the Wine version you put under here in this folder is gonna show up here. You can put the default one. So Wine GE8, this is the latest one and it's a good one. And DXVK version, the one you put in this folder, DXVK. So 2.4 is the latest one, is already selected. And VK Direct3D 2.13, which is can be found here, is already. And these things you can leave it as it is. It's not needed, I guess. This thing AMD, if you want this, it's gonna slow down, I guess. So turn this off. You don't need these features unless you're playing online games. Turn this off. So that's it. And if you want to show FPS, you can do that. Okay, just save it. So default Wine settings. Now how to add a new game. So basically, like you see here, I have added several games here in my collection already. You can add a new game here, so that you can easily play them by clicking this play button. For example, I have added Need for Speed Most Wanted, which is in here in the Windows folder. Need for Speed Most Wanted, you can see here. So I have added Need for Speed Undercover, similarly Brian Lara, and all these different games. So let's say I want to add Need for Speed Underground 2. How do I do that? Since I don't have that here, unless I have that here, I can't play that game. So Lutris is gonna use all these different tools to run the game. So the way I do it, I just click add game and then add locally installed game. So name of the game is you get this window, add new game, and here the name of the game would be Need for Speed Underground 2. You can copy this and search here in the Google the name of the game, the actual name of the game. Or let's say, let's go to Google. And the actual name, just copy the actual name. This is important, this is a step. If you don't give the actual name for the game, so it's not gonna find this nice cover. So Lutris is gonna automatically download the cover for you. You just have to give the correct game name. And then here from the runner, since this game is gonna be run using Wine is an implementation of Windows in Linux. you have to select runner as wine, and in the game option we need the game executable. We need to tell how Lutris is gonna run the game, so you have to tell the executable file of the game. So here the executable file is speed2, and the script here, let's see, I think this is for running the game in 1080p. Let's save that. Scaling, full screen into, anyway, doesn't matter. So here I can do one thing, dxvk cache. Okay, speed2 is the executable file, so I can just click select file and just drag it here so that it's automatically selected and okay. So here we told Lutris, okay, where to find this executable. The wine prefix is another important one. Since this is a 32-bit, you need a 32-bit wine prefix. So wine prefix is you can give it any folder. So Lutris is gonna wine is gonna create this folder. So this is a virtual kind of folder. It's a kind of Windows folder template. Windows, if you remember Windows C drive, so wine is gonna create a template for this Windows C drive. So if it's a 32-bit game, you have to have a 32-bit wine prefix folder. So I already have that into this folder wine32. In your home folder, you can just give it this name wine32. So if you can check, I can copy and then open this folder here. You can see, because I already have that folder, so wine already created because I ran the game before, runs a 32-bit game before. So you can see the C drive, so it's automatically created by wine. You don't have to worry, you just have to tell where the folder will be. So this is there. If you, let's say if you're trying to run a 64-bit game, then you would create a different folder, give it a different folder, not so you don't want to mix with 32-bit with a 64-bit. 32-bit, and you have to specify 32-bit. Yeah, prefix folder architecture 32-bit. Here in the runner option, we're gonna use this default wine version, and everything should be okay here, and that's it, and save. And now you can see the game is already added here. Now we should be able to play the game, but before we do that, we can also, I think that's okay, that's enough, just play and the game should work. If the new profile, okay, as you can see, the game is running. But I will show you another thing. Since this is an old game, it's not gonna use my 1080p resolution monitor. So here I have everything. It doesn't have the 1080p support. So basic, no need. So now I can quit the game. Oh, let's say you have gone to HD resolution. Full HD resolution. You can, what is it? Higher resolution. Let's say high resolution. How to get there is a website for this. Yeah, PC. If you go to, so to get the high resolution support, I guess you need widescreen use. Okay, how to get that here? High frame rate, high resolution. Yeah, here you can come here and download this. Widescreen page is gonna able to use so then you're gonna able to use 1080p resolution with this game. So I already did it. I have extracted the content of this zip file in the game folder as and then you get this folder after you extract script. Here you can set the resolution, in-game resolution you want, and then you also get this direct input 8 del file. So you have to tell Wine you're gonna use this version of direct input 8 del file. So the way you tell it in the Wine, you go here, Wine configuration, come under libraries. Here you put in direct input 8, and then once you added that, you'll see is added, and you see native and built-in. Native means it's gonna use this version and then the Wine version later. So try to use the native version or this version first. So this would allow the widescreen to work with that particular this fix. Hopefully, let's try play the game again. I think it's already running at that. Yeah, you can see it. The graphics is already boosted up, but it won't be updated here. But it's indeed 1080p, as I have seen with other games. So. Listen here, texture here. As you can see, the game is running perfectly. And it's running at 1080 using that specific widescreen fix. Let's quit this. So the other issue is, if I want to see the FPS, how can I do that? How to do that? So you have to come here. Once you added the game here, you select on that game, configure, and you go to the system options. You see Mango Heart FPS counter, just enable that, and that's it. Now you should be able to see the FPS inside the game along with the other parameters as provided by Mango Heart. So I'm getting roughly 120 FPS here. I'm also able to see CPU and GPU utilization and the temperature, VRAM, RAM. So the way you configure that particular performance remember I was talking about the OG overlay. So if you have that installed, you can run that from the menu G overlay. So now in the G overlay, you can configure the HUD, like what should be displayed there, the metrics, power consumption, GPU, CPU. You can set up everything here, the HUD, the way HUD should look. And once you set it up, you just click save and it will be saved, and the Lutris is gonna launch using that setting. Other thing is, let's say I want to run a game in higher resolution than what is supported by my monitor. My monitor only supports 1080p, so 1920 by 1080. Let's say I want to run a game in 4K. If the game supports that resolution, or there is a fix for higher resolution, let's say you could do that using remember I was talking about the game scope. You could do that using game scope. It's a tool. So the 4K resolution would be this one. This is the 4K resolution, 3840 by 2160. I have this game Need for Speed Undercover. Let's run this game in 4K instead of running it only limited by what is supported by the monitor. So when you run a game in high resolution than what is supported by your monitor, you're gonna see the game much clearly. I mean, the graphics would do, of course, is gonna be better because you're tightly packing so many pixels into into a very limited pixels, so you're gonna see the improvements in graphics, but it's gonna cost the performance. Yeah, there's a technical term for this. It's called super sampling. So the way we do it, we go to configure in the game, and then we go system options, and what are we gonna do? We enable game scope. Remember I was talking about the game scope. So in the game scope, is good idea when we're running a game higher resolution than what is in the monitor, you should enable this relative mouse mode. In the output resolution, you select the one supported by your monitor, and in the game resolution you give the one you want. The game will see this resolution instead of what the monitor reporting. So when you set the game resolution, the game is gonna see the maximum available supported resolution is this. That's it. Now we save it and launch the game. So it cannot find, not enough. What is it saying? It's talking some, I don't know, what is it saying? Have I done? Okay. Yeah, type this correctly. Don't just copy paste. So that Lutris understands. Yeah, at the moment game is running in 1080p monitor, but we're gonna increase it. Now we should be able to see higher resolution inside the game, and then increase it from the game setting. So here should be easy. Now we escape, go to the game options, graphics preference, resolution. Look, now I'm able to go as high as, okay, this is the maximum resolution supported, so I'm able to go higher than 1080p, but game is also has some weird, it only supports that one, not the 4K. So you need a widescreen fix for this game, but we are already doing it more than 1080p because of that game scope support. So now it's already running the game in 2K, I guess. Yeah, 2K almost. Yeah, so it's more than, you can see how sharp the game looks with that higher resolution than 1080p. Let's try a different game, which actually has, let's try a different game, not just Need for Speed Underground. Let's say Wolfenstein. This game is very good. Wolfenstein 2009. Let's add that one. Let's first search this game. Wolfenstein 2009 is, yeah, this game. So let's copy the name, add locally install. Let's add that game into the collection one. Of course, executable. This would be this game executable. So just drag and drop here, and then wine prefix would be your home. So we keep the folder same for each game. We don't have to have separate folders for each game. So we have one, that one, 32-bit. And here, yeah, I think we don't need anything. Here we have Mango Heart, and then game scope, relative mouse support, 1080p, and then this 4K resolution. Type it in correctly, save, and the game is added here. Play. Yeah, the game is running just like in some resolutions. Here we go to the in-game options, try to see if we are able to set that 4K. Yeah, I can definitely do that. As you can see, I'm able to set 4K resolution in-game because of game scope. Yeah, doing that. So monitor refresh, sync, out of sync, refresh rate, light setting, render option. You can see the heart became very small because we increased the resolution. We can scale the heart by going to G overlay application again. Let's try to run this game in 4K. It look amazing.
Agent Blaskowitz, I'm with the Castle Circle. Cover is already blown here.
Let's see how detailed graphics is now. If you boost up the resolution of an old game by increasing its resolution, the graphics will improve tenfold.
Quickly, down here! We have Kreisau agents waiting on the other side.
So good. I mean, the texture and everything. So much good. But of course you need a powerful GPU to be able to do that in the CPU.
The American. I don't know what you're talking
Any
about.
modern GPU should have
An American on the train.
anyway, that's it. So the idea is okay, that's it. For let's say for this game Prion Lara 2000, let's go to configure. I want to show you this game doesn't work with it only works with this version of Wine I found, and also works with this version of DXVK, not the latest one. So that's what you can do. Every game would require a slightly different configuration. You can come here and the configure, set it, and that particular configuration will be applied. You can just save for this for launching that game. For let's say BioShock 2, it needs a different configuration. For example, it needs these two options to be off, otherwise the texture is not clear or blurry. So basically these two options accelerate certain operations, Windows operations, certain operations. Yeah, it's good to have those options by default, but if the game is doing something weird, you can turn this off and then see if it's fixed. Yeah, that's all. There are other settings, but you can look. I think those are for specific needs. You can you can try if the joystick is not working for some reason in game. You can enable this option for that game and then save auto configure joypads. And since let's say FIFA 2010, yeah, what do I need here? Like if you go to, let's say, for some games, if you need EAX sound support, you can go to here for that game, combine configuration, and then come over here in the audio or staging, enable and EAX. If you turn that on, it might work. You might get EAX support. I'm not sure how well it's implemented, but that's it. That's how you play your Windows, add your Windows games collection to Lutris and be able to play your old Windows games on Linux very easily. Once you have them in here added, you should be able to play your Windows game, and you can change the view mode here. I think icon mode, scale up. This looks nice. Yeah, that's it. You can so wine, you can see you can add your Steam games into Lutris as well, but that's not I'm not interested in talking into that in this video. So wine, yeah, that's it. Close. I hope you like this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share, and until next time, bye bye.